Welcome back to another episode of the From Zero to Hero guitar series. In this lesson, we're going to completely focus on the right hand, how to position it correctly on the guitar, and how to perform two essential foundational strokes that will allow you to play basic melodies. So let's dive in so I can guide you through this properly. You might recall from the previous episodes that I already explained how to sit while playing different posture options and the pros and cons of each. This lesson builds up those basics and takes us closer to getting the best tone out of your playing. As you can see, I placed my right leg over my left, which is my natural and most comfortable sitting position, especially when I hold the guitar. It helps me relax and control the instrument better. Let's talk about how to position the right hand on the guitar. I'll start by showing you the correct form, pointing out key details and highlighting the common mistakes many beginners make, so you can avoid them from the start. Watch how I position my hand. I simply let it fall naturally. No raised shoulders, no stiff neck, no exaggerated posture, just as if I were walking and paused. Now, as my full arm falls naturally, I raise my elbow and put it on the edge of the front part of the guitar, not the back side and not on the side, just on the edge of the front part of the guitar. Now observe my forearm. It rests gently on the guitar's body, not too forward, not too back, just enough for the arm to act as a pivot, while your hand flows comfortably above the strings. Now here's where a lot of people go wrong. They either let their entire forearm hang too heavily or tense up their shoulder unnecessarily. This leads to bad form and fatigue and inefficient playing. Remember, the right hand should be as relaxed and natural as possible. Just like when you sit and talk casually, your hand should hover above the strings, not bent, not twisted, and definitely not stiff. If you drop your bicep on the side panel of the guitar without control, like this, your wrist might bend awkwardly, causing tension. You'll start grabbing the strings instead of playing them, and that leads to poor sound and hand strain. Also, keep this in mind, your fingers should approach the strings as close to a 90-degree angle as possible. Why? Because this way the energy from your finger transfers directly and efficiently into the strings without loss. You'll play with less effort, more control, and better endurance, which makes playing more enjoyable. So to wrap this part up, I'll just sit naturally in my natural position, and then I hang my full arm gently as I'm walking, then raising my elbow, not my shoulder, not like this, not tensing anywhere, just raising my elbow and putting my forearm on the front edge of the guitar, like this. Look carefully. If I slide my forearm in the direction of my elbow, it may cause my bicep to lean on the side panel of the guitar. Definitely don't want this. Why? Because look my wrist, how it bends. This is the standard, comfortable position, and when I just slide my forearm into the direction of the elbow, look my wrist, it starts bending, and this may cause you the injuries. Okay, what part of my forearm should I lean on the side edge of the guitar? It depends on your posture, your height. If you are a tall person, you might lean your forearm more closer to your wrist, like this. This results in direct wrist, no twists and bends. And if you're a shorter person, you must lean your forearm more closer to the elbow to get the same results. In all the ways, you should have a direct wrist and 90-degree angle on your fingers around the strings. Some amateur players, they tend to lean their bicep on the side panel and don't want to bend or twist their wrist. And what happens to them is that their finger angle changes on the string and it's not 90-degree at all. Look the change on the angle of my fingers. I lean my bicep but don't want to twist my wrist. My fingers get another angle, not 90-degree. This causes more friction, less efficiency, and not a good tone, like this. And also I see many players, they tend to stick this part of their hand on the soundboard of the guitar. What this does is that it bends the wrist inward. We don't want this either. Some other players I see, they tend to twist their wrist this way. This is not good at all. Or on the opposite direction, like this. We don't want this either. Let's also talk about tone and string contact. When your finger angle is off, you may hear scratchy or muted tones. That's because the flesh and nail are colliding with the string in the wrong way. You want a clean release, not friction, like this. For those of you who want to dive deeper into the science behind this, the shorter the distance between your finger's start and end point on the string, the more efficient the motion. It's faster, clearer, and more cleaner. And this is what the 90-degree angle on the string will get you the results. Now, how do we fix the wrist and forearm position to make all this work? The correct way is to rest your forearm lightly on the front edge of the guitar's body, not the side panel, not too far forward, right on the edge. This becomes your anchor point, like this. If you get this wrong early on and practice for months that way, it may feel fine at first, but you'll hit a wall later. Progress will stall and you won't know why. It all starts with bad fundamentals. So pay close attention. Let your hand drop naturally. Let the fingers sit above the strings with a 90-degree angle. Rest the forearm gently on the guitar's front edge. Don't let your shoulder hold the weight of your arm. Don't press your finger or palm onto the guitar's body like this. Now, how do you find the perfect forearm spot for your body type? Let your hand naturally while seated. Then slowly raise your forearm, and where it naturally touches this edge of the guitar, that's your personal anchor point. Make that point with a piece of tape or manually note it until it becomes second nature. Then make sure your wrist stays neutral, not bent, upward, downward, pressing against the body of the guitar with your wrist or palm. Many try to reach the first string with the side of their pinky and end up twisting their wrist. Don't do that. It ruins the form. When you play, your hand should look and feel relaxed, elevated, and correctly angled. No tension in the wrist, no weird angles, like this. Okay, for now that we have a correct sitting position and correct right hand position, let's go for the two essential and foundational strokes that every guitarist should know in the fingerstyle plucking: the rest stroke and the free stroke, or Apoyando and Tirando. The rest stroke is like its name. If you're hitting a string with your I, M, or A fingers, your index, middle, and ring finger, it should rest on the upper string. If you're hitting the first string, it should rest on the second string, like this. Or if you're hitting, for example, third string, it should rest on the fourth string. See, I don't press it hard, I just relaxedly rest it onto the string. In this movement, the whole force moves onto the string that we're hitting, and that gets us more structured sound, a more flashy sound. And this is also for the thumb or the P finger, but the direction changes. Instead of down to up movement, we're moving from up to down, and the result is resting on the lower strings. If you're hitting the sixth string, our thumb will rest gently on the fifth string. Or, for example, if we're hitting the fourth string, it will rest gently on the third. I don't press it hard, keep this in mind. Important notes for the rest strokes that you don't find it anywhere. I'm gonna talk about the finger joints. When we're rest stroking with our I, M, or A fingers, these fingers have three joints: the bigger joint, the middle joint, and smaller joint. In the rest stroke, if we want to hit it very efficiently and cleanly, we have to only move our bigger joint. This is really important. Look carefully how my finger acts when I strike. Look, it moves only with my bigger joint. Or with my end finger. I'm not doing this. I don't bend my middle and my smaller joint. And this is what every amateur player does. They bend their middle or their smaller joint like this, And this will break the energy path and the energy motion that's coming from our forearm and wrist, making the sound shakier and with a lower volume that we don't want in this stroke type. Another con for this break posture is that we don't transfer the full energy from the bigger joint to the string with the fingernail. Instead, we're using it to move the two smaller joints, and that is why it lowers the efficiency of this stroke type that we don't want. Another important tip is that you must maintain your neutral finger shapes. My index finger shape, my neutral finger shape is like this. It's not like this, not like this. When I hang my hand neutrally, my fingers get a unique shape for them. I must maintain these shapes as long as I can. Again, look carefully. I have a loose hand position. My fingers have a neutral shape, and I try to maintain it by using my bigger joint for striking, for energy transferring. Look, I don't do this. And when I strike every string, I don't rest on the same string then striking. It will mute the sound and it will break the continuity of the sound that we want. And the wrong way, I'm exaggerating the motion that you understand. This is wrong. I'm resting my finger on the same string that I want to strike, then striking and resting on the upper string. It's wrong. You have to do it with full one motion for every string. Now, what about the P or the thumb? Our thumb, instead of I, M, or A, has two joints, the bigger joint, the smaller joint. In the rest stroke, like I, M, and A, you should use your bigger joint to strike. And you have to maintain your neutral finger shape. And again, you don't have to mute the string that you're playing like this. It's wrong. You have to do it with one motion very cleanly. When you're striking the rest strokes with your I, M, or A, you can rest your thumb on the 6th or 5th string. Don't press it, just hang your finger gently on these strings to give your brain a feedback for all your fingers. And also, if you're playing with your P, you have to hang your I, M, and A on these 3 strings or on string 1. It doesn't matter. Just you have to do this for that feedback for the brain. Note that the rest strokes, because they have more structured and more fleshy, more toned sound, they use it mostly on the melodies. Now let's go for the second fundamental stroke on the fingers, that is free stroke. In the free stroke, you don't have any rests on the strings, and you must hit the strings like a cat scratching the wall. When you're scratching something, your fingertips tend to move towards your palm like this, and this motion we want on the free stroke. For example, if I'm striking by I, M, and A on string 3 to 1, it's like this. I'm not resting on the upper string, I'm just let my fingertip off of the string and toward my palm. I don't have to do it exaggeratedly like this. It will ruin my motion just a little bit. It's enough. Don't do this. It will break your motion. And when you're striking the string, your fingertip has to be off of the string by about 60-degree angle. If you have a 90-degree angle of releasing, what will happen is that you will hit the upper strings. and it's wrong. And if you have release angle of 0 degree, it will pluck the string and have a very bad sound. See how it sounds? Very uncontrolled sound. We don't want this. Notes about the joints. Opposite of what we taught on the rest strokes, in the free strokes, we have to move the middle and the smaller joints. And we have to put our bigger joint where it was. We don't have to move the bigger joint, instead we have to move the middle and the smaller joints together, like an octopus. This is the head of the octopus, and the whole finger is one of its legs. See, I don't move my bigger joint, I'm just moving these two. This helps me to get that scratchy movement. When we move our middle and smaller joints, the energy transfer deflects between these joints and we have a lower energy transfer to the strings. And this is essential for free stroke type striking. In the free stroke type we have a gentle sound and we don't want that structure, that heavy sound at all. This is very useful stroke type for the romantic genres or especially for the arpeggios like this. Let's go for the P or the thumb. The movement of the P on the strings is somehow like the rest stroke, but we don't rest it on the lower strings. Instead of doing this, we're just releasing the fingernail into the air. We don't rest on the lower string. I see some players that they move their smaller joint on their thumb like this, but I really don't see any advantages for this. So on I and M and A, we are just have a scratchy motion with a release angle on the string by about 60 degrees. And for P, we just don't rest on the lower strings. Let's go for the rest stroke train. I am striking on every string 10 times continuously, and IA after that, and MA after them, then P on all strings, all of them 10 times continuously. It doesn't matter you're training the rest stroke or the free stroke, you have to maintain your volume on all the strokes. The volume doesn't have to change in one to another strike like this. One very bigger volume and the other one very smaller. This is wrong, or you have to keep it as consistent as you can, both the rhythm and the volume. The metronome will help you on the consistency for the rhythm. Get ready? tips in mind, I try to keep my neutral hand shape that it appears when I loosen my hand in all the positions. When I get closer to the 4th or 5th string, I start to getting my thumb a little bit up to maintain this neutral hand shape. And this is also valid for the P when getting closer to the 1st string. When you want to hit the 6th string, you don't have to put your thumb off of the soundboard. This is wrong. You don't have any anchor point on your fingers. And also, when you're hitting the 1st string with your thumb, your I, M, and A, all of them or 2 of them or at least one of your fingers should be on the soundboard to maintain that anchor point that we want. Let's take this a bit deeper. The anatomy behind good form, your forearm, wrists, and fingers work together as a coordinated system. Inside your forearm are the flexors and extensors, muscles that control your fingers. If your hand position is misaligned, you add tension to those muscles, which can reduce accuracy, lead to fatigue, and even cause long-term injuries like tendonitis or carpal tunnel syndrome. So proper alignment is not just about playing well, it's about playing for years without pain. When you repeat a movement the same way over time, your brain creates an efficient neural pathway. This is muscle memory. But here's the catch. The brain doesn't know if a habit is good or bad. That's why it's better to practice slowly and correctly for 5 minutes than to play sloppily for 30 minutes. Record yourself practice in front of a mirror. Use deliberate practice, meaning every rep is intentional. How to know you're doing it wrong? Here are red flags to watch for. You feel wrist pain or finger stiffness after 10-15 minutes. You hear inconsistent volume when switching fingers. You rely on the shoulder or neck to support the arm. Fix this early. Posture is everything. Rhythm and precision. Let's go back to the metronome. Use it to practice both timing and consistency. Start with 60 BPM. Focus on hitting every beat cleanly. Try this. Play only I, M for 2 minutes, then M, A for 2 minutes, then I, A. This forces all combinations of finger motions and strengthens the independency. Future techniques you're preparing for, you might be wondering why so much focus on right hand position. Because everything that comes later, from alternate picking, sweep picking, hybrid picking, is built on this. Skipping this foundation is like building a skyscraper on sand. Real practice routines. Here's how I structure a 15-minute session for a beginner. 2 minutes stretching and hand prep, 5-minute IM alternation with metronome, 3-minute free stroke versus rest stroke comparison, 5-minute thumb with IMA transitions. Do this daily for 2 weeks and see the difference. My thumb gets sore quickly. What should I change? You're probably tensing your shoulder or pressing down too hard. Relax your entire upper body and reduce pressure. Can I keep my hand floating or should I rest it? Floating is good as long as it's supported by the forearm and balanced. Don't let the fingers do all the work. Should I cut my nails? For classical, yes. For fingerstyle, keep them just enough to pluck cleanly and smooth the edges. Final thoughts. Don't rush. Every world-class guitarist started here. They played slow, focused, deliberate movements until their hand knew what to do. Your job right now is to listen to your hand. If something feels tight, fix it. If a motion is jerky, slow it down. If a finger collapses or flattens, correct it. Build mastery from the ground up. So let's wrap this up. In the next lessons, I break down these exercises one by one with full focus on each finger and stroke type. For now, I want you to get familiar with resting the forearm correctly, keeping the wrist relaxed, finger angle around 90 degrees, smooth plucking motion, using a metronome for rhythm. This is the foundation that will support your entire guitar journey. You've made it this far, and that already sets you apart. Most people skip this. They want flash licks, but you're building a foundation, a mindset, and skill set that will last a lifetime. So hit that like if this helped, subscribe for the full series, drop a comment with what you want me to cover next, and most importantly, enjoy the process. See you in the next lesson.